In the wake of African swine fever devastating the livestock industry, China has built massive pig skyscrapers, capable of producing more than 1 million pigs per year. But how do these high-rise pig cities actually operate behind the scenes? From herds of pigs living dozens of meters above the ground to highly automated systems running almost every part of the operation, this model is pushing livestock farming into an unprecedented era of industrialization. Today, let's step inside China's gigantic pig skyscrapers and see how an entire farming industry is being operated like a colossal machine running non-stop. After the devastating outbreak of African swine fever, which led to the culling of hundreds of millions of pigs and caused pork prices in China to surge, the country's livestock industry entered an unprecedented industrial revolution, raising pigs in massive high-rise buildings. Instead of traditional farms spread across vast areas of land, Chinese companies began constructing pig skyscrapers, apartment-like complexes for pigs reaching 6, 12, and even 26 stories high, with investment costs amounting to billions of yuan. These facilities are equipped with extensive automation systems, air filtration, waste treatment, and disease control technologies operating 24/7. One of the most well-known examples is located in Ezhou, featuring two 26-story buildings capable of producing up to 1.2 million pigs per year, currently considered the largest high-rise pig farming complex in the world. Inside these pig apartment buildings, everything operates more like a high-tech factory than a traditional farm. Each floor is assigned a different stage of pig development: breeding, farrowing, weaning, fattening, and finishing before shipment. The fully automated feeding system transports food through sealed pipelines directly to each pen, allowing precise control of feed portions for tens of thousands of pigs at the same time. AI cameras and smart sensors monitor body temperature, movement, vocalizations, growth rates, and even abnormal behavior to detect illness at an early stage. Some farms even apply facial recognition technology for pigs, enabling extremely accurate individual tracking. Especially, even the movement between floors is mechanized, as pigs are transported via specialized elevator systems, functioning as part of an automated production line.
Come on out, little ones. Come on out.
Environmental technology is a critical part of the system. Air inside the buildings is continuously filtered through negative pressure ventilation systems, sterilized with UV light, and cleaned using biofiltration to reduce the risk of viral contamination. Workers entering the facility must go through multiple biosecurity checkpoints, change into protective gear, and undergo disinfection procedures similar to those in biological laboratories. Pig waste is collected through a closed-loop system and then processed into biogas for electricity generation or recycled as fertilizer. Thanks to this vertical design, land use can be reduced by 50 to 70% compared to traditional farming, a crucial advantage in densely populated areas with limited agricultural land in China. The biggest advantage of vertical pig farming is its scale and level of control. Within a single complex, companies can raise hundreds of thousands of pigs while requiring significantly less labor than traditional farms. Automation helps reduce feed costs, improves disease control, and accelerates growth rates by maintaining an optimized environment at all times. Large companies such as Muyuan Foods and Zhongxin Kaiwei even operate real-time data systems to adjust temperature, humidity, and feeding programs for each stage of pig development. A single worker can monitor thousands of pigs through computer screens instead of manually inspecting each housing unit. However, this model has also sparked intense controversy worldwide. Many experts worry that concentrating such a large number of livestock in a confined space could turn a small outbreak into a large-scale disaster if biosecurity systems fail. In addition, odor, wastewater, and noise from these mega farms place significant pressure on surrounding residential areas. Some residents living near pig skyscraper facilities in China have reported that they were forced to move away because they could not tolerate the smell and pollution. Animal welfare organizations have also criticized the system, arguing that pigs spend almost their entire lives in enclosed concrete environments with little natural light and limited space for movement. Despite the controversy, vertical pig farming is increasingly becoming a symbol of modern industrial livestock production. Instead of traditional sprawling farms, tens of thousands of pigs are now raised inside massive buildings that operate much like high-tech factories. From feeding robots and AI health monitoring systems to air filtration and waste treatment converted into biogas electricity, nearly everything is automated to optimize production at an extreme scale. In the future, these pig skyscrapers may become a familiar feature of the global livestock industry. When disease outbreaks occur in vertical pig farms, response measures must be carried out extremely quickly to protect the rest of the herd and prevent the virus from spreading. Pigs showing abnormal signs are immediately isolated for monitoring, while suspected infection zones are quickly locked down and continuously disinfected. For highly dangerous diseases such as African swine fever, which currently has no effective cure, infected herds are handled according to strict biosecurity protocols to safeguard the remaining livestock system. Afterward, barns and all equipment are thoroughly cleaned and disinfected before being brought back into operation. Because of these risks, modern farms are investing heavily in AI, sensors, and 24/7 monitoring systems to detect diseases as early as possible, minimize losses, and reduce the need for large-scale culling. In China, ducks are one of the largest-scale livestock industries in the world, with hundreds of millions raised each year for both meat and eggs. In modern farms, ducks are often raised in massive flocks inside barns, stretching hundreds of meters long, where feeding and watering systems operate almost continuously throughout the day. After hatching, ducklings are moved into heated brooding areas to maintain stable temperatures before entering a rapid growth stage. Thanks to their fast growth rate and strong adaptability to wet environments, many meat duck breeds can reach market weight in just a few weeks. Meanwhile, egg duck farms can produce tens of thousands of eggs every day to supply China's enormous food industry. From salted eggs and century eggs to countless traditional dishes that use duck eggs as a key ingredient. However, in many agricultural regions of China, ducks are not raised solely for meat or eggs. Farmers also integrate them directly into rice fields through a system known as rice duck farming, a method that combines rice cultivation with free-range duck herding to reduce farming costs and limit the use of chemicals. After each harvest season, rice fields are usually left with scattered grains, empty husks, insect larvae, small pests, and snails hidden beneath the mud. Instead of letting these go to waste or relying on additional chemical treatments, Chinese farmers use duck flocks as a living biological cleaning system. Driven by their natural instinct to constantly dig through the mud for food, thousands of ducks move across the fields like natural cleaning machines, helping clear the land within just a few days. They feed on pests, reduce harmful insect populations, and are especially effective at controlling snails and young weeds, both of which could significantly affect the next rice crop. What makes this model highly valued is that it creates an almost complete economic cycle. Ducks take advantage of free food sources in the fields to gain weight naturally, while their droppings become nutrient-rich organic fertilizer for the soil. As the ducks constantly move across the paddies, they also stir the top layer of mud, increase oxygen levels in the soil, and help suppress the growth of certain weeds. Many regions in China that use rice duck farming The integration of rice cultivation and duck raising have significantly reduced their use of pesticides and chemical fertilizers while still maintaining high crop yields. This is also an extremely efficient economic model. In industrial livestock farming, feed is usually the largest expense, but with free-range field ducks, farmers can save a substantial amount of money by utilizing natural food sources in the paddies. A flock of ducks can be moved continuously across multiple rice fields throughout the harvest season, turning agricultural leftovers that would otherwise be considered waste into commercial meat and eggs. And in an era where livestock farming is becoming increasingly industrialized with robots, AI, and massive factory farms, China's rice duck farming system still represents a very different approach. One where thousands of ducks not only produce food, but also directly participate in the operation of traditional agriculture itself. Besides pigs and ducks, China also has a livestock industry that may sound small in scale, but is actually enormous: quail egg farming. China is currently one of the world's largest producers of quail eggs, with billions consumed every year in street food, hot pot dishes, instant noodles, packaged snacks, and the processed food industry. Although quail eggs are only about 1/5 the size of chicken eggs, they have become a common ingredient throughout China's food industry, thanks to their compact size, easy preparation, and extremely short production cycle. Quail farming operates much like a miniature industrial production line. After hatching, baby quails are moved into heated brooding areas equipped with warming systems and continuous lighting to maintain stable temperatures. Since this is the stage when the birds are still fragile and highly sensitive to environmental conditions, within just a few weeks, they enter an extremely rapid growth phase before being transferred to egg-laying facilities. Due to their small size, quail housing systems are often designed as multi-tiered cage rows, stretching dozens of meters long, allowing an enormous number of birds to be raised within a relatively compact space. Automated feeding systems continuously distribute feed along long troughs, while water is supplied through drip-style drinkers to minimize waste. Lighting inside the facilities is also carefully controlled, since the duration of light exposure directly affects the quail's egg-laying performance. One of the most remarkable aspects of quail farming is the nearly non-stop rate of egg production. Once they reach peak productivity, tens of thousands of quails can produce a massive quantity of eggs every single day. After being laid, the small eggs roll out of the cages and automatically slide onto conveyor belts below, where they are transported to sorting, cleaning, and packaging areas that operate almost entirely through automation. At large-scale farms in China, the entire process, from feeding and egg collection to waste management, is optimized to minimize labor costs and maximize production speed. However, because quails are raised at extremely high densities, environmental control becomes a critical factor for survival and productivity. Even slight temperature fluctuations or excessive humidity can quickly stress the flock and reduce egg production. As a result, many facilities operate ventilation systems almost 24 hours a day to reduce dust, ammonia buildup, and maintain stable air quality inside the barns. Quail manure is also collected continuously because, at a scale of hundreds of thousands of birds, the amount of waste generated each day is enormous. Compared to conventional laying hens, quails consume far less feed, but begin laying eggs at just over 1 month old, a speed that makes them one of the fastest return livestock species in the poultry industry. While many chicken breeds require several months before reaching stable egg production, quails grow extremely quickly and can produce eggs almost daily once mature. Their small size also allows farmers to significantly reduce housing space, feed consumption, and operating costs. As a result, the number of quails raised within the same area can be far higher than chickens, creating an exceptionally dense level of egg production. This is why many people describe modern quail farms in China as mini egg factories, operating almost non-stop throughout the day. First, we arrive at Zikang village in Zhejiang province. This small village of only about 1,000 residents may look peaceful, but it hides a nightmare for many people around the world. More than 3 million snakes of various species live together in less than 1 square kilometer, accounting for up to 10% of the country's total snake production. Can you guess what makes the locals willing to live alongside snakes? In fact, a professional snake farming household can earn between $55,000 and $68,000 per year, making snake farming a highly sought-after occupation in rural areas. The process begins with female snakes that reach the standard age of 9 to 10 months. To optimize the survival rate of the brood, farmers apply a controversial but crucial intervention technique: stitching the snake's lips with fine thread when the egg-laying season begins. The purpose of this is not to protect humans, but rather a technical measure to eliminate the female's instinct to eat their own eggs. With a yield of 12 to 21 eggs per clutch, manual collection must be carried out strictly every 2 hours. However, this is an extremely tense and dangerous period, as the mother snake remains in a defensive state, ready to strike at any moment. Collectors use a wooden stick with a metal hook at the end to skillfully lure the mother snake away from the nest. The operation must be fast, precise, and extremely cautious. Courage alone is not enough, as the price to pay could be a fatal bite from a highly sensitive mother snake. Moreover, even a slight delay can cause the embryos to die due to changes in temperature and humidity, rendering all the care efforts meaningless. Once removed from the nest, the eggs are taken to the incubation room. There, technicians inspect them using a flashlight to check embryo development and detect abnormalities. Qualified eggs are placed into incubation trays with strictly controlled temperature and humidity, while any discolored or irregularly sized eggs are immediately discarded. As they enter the growth stage, the snakes are transferred to standard cement enclosures measuring 0.5 meters in height and 1 meter in width, reinforced with sturdy steel mesh. Here, they are provided with a high-protein diet consisting of frog meat or baby chicks, fed 2 to 3 times per week. A 1-month-old group of snakes can consume up to half a kilogram of baby frogs per day, to ensure rapid muscle development and the accumulation of high-quality venom. For individuals that absorb nutrients poorly or refuse to eat, farmers carry out a force-feeding process by using a stick to place food directly into their mouths, ensuring the entire group reaches the required weight before harvesting. This level of strictness is the foundation behind the immense economic value of the final products. In specialty restaurants, snake meat is prepared into stews or soups, priced between $50 and $100 per kilogram, depending on the species. In addition, snake wine remains an iconic product in traditional East Asian medicinal culture. Jars containing whole cobras or banded crates can sell for up to $1,000, based on the belief that they enhance vitality and help treat joint-related conditions. Leaving the snake farming village in southern China, more than 27 million buffalo are undergoing a major genetic transformation. For decades, this animal was shaped for labor rather than economic value. They were mainly used for plowing and freely grazed on river floodplains or steep hillsides. This farming method relies on a unique biological mechanism. Buffalo must soak in water or mud for 2 to 4 hours each day. With an extremely limited number of sweat glands, wallowing is almost the only way for them to regulate body temperature, remove parasites, and protect their skin from harsh heat. However, this nature-dependent farming approach is gradually being restricted due to strict government regulations on resource management. Large-scale free grazing has been limited in many areas to prevent forest soil erosion, protect biodiversity, and especially to eliminate the risk of water pollution caused by livestock waste. It is precisely these environmental constraints that have driven a shift toward high-tech, intensive farming models. By crossbreeding local buffalo with imported breeds such as Murrah and Nili Ravi, experts have increased milk yields from 500 kilograms to 2,500 kilograms per cycle, transforming an outdated draft animal into a true money-making machine. In Guangxi, the buffalo milk capital supplying up to 60% of the nation's total output, buffalo are no longer free-grazed but are instead raised in large-scale facilities with temperatures maintained below 30 degrees Celsius. This controlled housing, combined with automated TMR, total mixed ration feeding systems, ensures complete consistency, producing premium milk valued at up to $6 per liter, 4 times the price of cow's milk. The reason buffalo milk can command such high prices lies in its superior biological properties. It contains twice the fat yet less cholesterol than cow's milk. Notably, with 58% more calcium and 40% more iron, along with A2 protein that is easier to digest, buffalo milk has become an ideal alternative for children, the elderly, and those sensitive to lactose. In Luan City in eastern China, hundreds of millions of geese are quite literally laying golden eggs, producing hundreds of thousands of tons of feathers each year, an economic value that rivals that of their meat. Leveraging its dense freshwater ecosystem, China has come to dominate this entire industry, controlling up to 90% of global meat production and 80% of the global feather market share. The journey of a goose begins in industrial hatcheries, where temperature and humidity are precisely controlled. After collection, goose eggs are carefully inspected under light before being placed into incubators. After about 28 to 35 days, goslings hatch from the selected eggs, healthy and ready to begin a new life cycle. They are then kept warm, carefully nurtured, and provided with adequate nutrition to ensure stable development. However, for young poultry, the brooding stage is extremely sensitive. Without proper control of temperature and hygiene, goslings can die in large numbers due to disease or thermal shock. As waterfowl with high activity needs, geese require ample space to develop feathers that meet quality standards. As a result, farms in Luan typically combine enclosed farming systems with large natural water areas. After about 120 days, when they reach a weight of 4 to 6 kilograms, the feathers achieve the necessary elasticity and insulation, key criteria that unlock a multi-billion-dollar value chain. By controlling the neck, the most maneuverable part of the body, workers can quickly separate each goose from the flock and place it into transport cages, while keeping the feather structure intact and undisturbed. From there, at the factory, the feathers undergo a rigorous industrial processing line. Raw feathers are separated using airflow to classify them by weight, then pass through a series of washing, sterilization, and centrifugal drying processes to completely remove impurities and moisture. Finally, they are dried and fluffed to achieve maximum loft before being inspected and precisely filled into premium bedding products, where goose down offers superior insulation and is significantly lighter than duck feathers of the same weight. But it doesn't stop there. Goose feathers have also unlocked another billion-dollar market: badminton shuttlecock production. Few people know that to create a shuttlecock that meets international competition standards, exactly 16 nearly identical wing feathers are required, carefully selected from the healthiest mature geese, an essential factor in achieving a stable flight trajectory that synthetic materials still cannot fully replicate.
See that seam right there?
No longer confined to the ground, China's livestock industry has expanded skyward, where more than 600 million pigeons operate like mobile protein production lines, ready for market in just 21 days and delivering economic efficiency 3 times higher than traditional farming. In multi-tiered cage complexes stacked high to the ceiling, the key to this ultra-fast capital turnover lies in the 2+2 model combined with artificial feeding. In nature, parent pigeons must produce crop milk to feed their young, a process that consumes significant energy and prolongs the reproductive cycle. Chinese agricultural engineers have overcome this biological limitation by allowing parents to raise the chicks for the first 7 days, then separating them and transferring them to automated feeding systems. With the support of technology, a nutrient mix that perfectly mimics crop milk is directly injected, allowing young pigeons to increase their body weight 8-fold in just 3 weeks. By removing the burden of parental feeding, adult pigeons can immediately enter a new egg-laying cycle, boosting productivity from around 10 broods to 25 to 30 chicks per year. As a result, meat pigeons reach market standards in less than 1 month. Do you know how thousands of pigeons are transported at once without losing a single one? This is where specialized ventilated trucks come into play, tightly packed with stacked plastic cages, maintaining a massive supply flow from high-rise farms directly to centralized slaughter lines within just a few hours. Beyond providing ultra-fast protein, internal organs such as pigeon liver and heart are often valued up to 5 times higher than regular white meat due to their concentrated iron and micronutrient content. Especially the liver, one of the richest natural sources of iron in the food world. In some premium markets, they are even sought after as animal ginseng, although this term is more rooted in folklore than science. Moving into the inland waters of Zhejiang province, you are faced with a massive biological gemstone factory, one that controls up to 95% of the global supply of freshwater pearls. At the core of this system lies a breakthrough technique: multi-point mantle tissue grafting. Unlike saltwater pearls, where each oyster is implanted with a single solid nucleus, technicians here make dozens of ultrafine incisions in the mantle of a living mussel, then insert epithelial tissue taken from another individual without using a hard nucleus. As a result, each mussel no longer produces just one pearl, but becomes a multi-point production system, capable of cultivating 30 to 50 pearls simultaneously in a single cycle, increasing output density dozens of times compared to traditional methods. To ensure consistent quality at an industrial scale, the entire living environment is tightly controlled. Instead of resting in unstable bottom mud, millions of mussels are suspended in mesh bags within oxygen-rich water layers, where growth conditions are continuously optimized. At the same time, biological sensor stations spread across the lake monitor algae density, the primary food source, in real time, maintaining a stable and optimal nacre secretion state, which directly determines the luster and color of the pearls. After 3 to 5 years of nacre accumulation, the mussels are harvested and manually opened with precise incisions to release large quantities of pearls, ranging in color from milky white to pinkish purple. The pearls are then sent through a surface treatment line, where they are cleaned and polished using ultrafine abrasives, such as aluminum oxide powder or industrial diamond powder, creating a near mirror-like luster before entering the grading stage. This is the most labor-intensive phase, as thousands of workers must sit for hours to manually sort millions of pearls based on size, shape, roundness, and reflectivity, factors that directly determine their commercial value. With its concentrated calcium and amino acid content, Chinese pearl powder can retail for up to $200 per 100-gram jar when packaged as a premium cosmetic ingredient in the US market. Beyond that, even the shells left after pearl extraction are ground into mineral additives for animal feed, ensuring the entire system operates under a single principle: not a single gram of material goes to waste. On the international market, Chinese pearls have the advantage of low prices thanks to large production volumes and a wide variety of designs, making them highly accessible. However, their quality is often inconsistent, with luster and durability sometimes inferior to pearls from Japan or Australia. In contrast, other countries focus on higher quality, but their products tend to be significantly more expensive. With more than 29% of its population already over the age of 65, Japan is the fastest aging country in the world, while livestock farming is an industry that demands a large number of young, strong, and resilient workers. On top of that, only about 12% of its land is suitable for agriculture. Combined with harsh climate conditions, frequent natural disasters, and production costs among the highest in Asia. Yet every year, Japan's livestock industry still produces more than 8 million tons of meat, milk, and eggs, with many products positioned in the premium segment, sought after worldwide and sold at high prices. So what allows a country lacking labor, land, and even natural advantages to build one of the world's most valuable livestock industries? Today, let Agriculture Insight explore how the Japanese have redefined modern livestock farming, where technology, precision, and optimization have pushed the value of every liter of milk and every kilogram of meat to an almost perfect level. Let's get started. Located in the far north of Japan, with a cool climate year-round, summers that rarely exceed 25 degrees Celsius, and vast grasslands rarely seen in a country as compact as Japan, Hokkaido is considered the dairy kingdom of the land of the rising sun. It not only leads in production, but is also regarded as the quality benchmark for Asia's dairy industry. Each year, this region produces more than 3.8 million tons of raw milk, accounting for nearly 50% of Japan's total milk production, an overwhelming figure compared with the rest of the country. Thanks to more than 1 million hectares of agricultural land, dairy farms in Hokkaido are far larger than the Japanese average, where most farming households operate on small plots and face intense land pressure. But wide pastures are not the deciding factor. What truly turns Hokkaido milk into an icon lies in the famous livestock farming philosophy the Japanese call happy cow premium milk. Here, people believe that a happy cow produces milk of exceptional quality. And to create these happy lady cows, every process is controlled almost absolutely. On dairy farms in Hokkaido, calves are cared for like newborn athletes from the very moment they are born. Immediately after birth, each calf is separated into a sterile care area to minimize the risk of bacterial infection. Within the first 24 hours, they must drink antibody-rich colostrum, the vital source of nutrition that determines their lifelong immunity. After that, their diet is calculated precisely down to the gram, combining premium milk replacer, young hay, concentrated feed, and trace minerals. Each day, every calf is fed milk in 2 to 3 fixed sessions, almost perfectly on schedule. Sensors monitor body temperature, growth rate, and feed intake, helping farmers detect any abnormal signs within just a few hours. It takes at least 22 to 24 months for a female calf to mature physically, become pregnant for the first time, and officially enter the milk production cycle. The Japanese do not raise cows to produce milk as quickly as possible. They raise them to become strong, healthy animals capable of delivering high and stable yields for many years. A new day on any dairy farm in Hokkaido begins with cleaning. The cows' resting areas are covered with clean, dry sawdust bedding or sand, which is constantly replaced. Temperature, humidity, and airflow are always controlled by smart ventilation systems. For the Japanese, one of the biggest secrets behind creating happy cow ladies lies in the living environment. It must be clean, dry, quiet, and as stress-free as possible. Because when cows become stressed, rising cortisol levels can clearly reduce both milk quality and milk yield. But if there's one factor that makes Hokkaido milk famous for its deep, creamy richness, clean, sweet aftertaste, and distinctive aroma, it is the diet. The basic menu for cows in Hokkaido includes premium Timothy hay, fermented corn silage, protein-rich alfalfa, and a precisely blended mix of vitamins and minerals. Most of the ingredients have clear origins, with many grown directly in Hokkaido's own fields and harvested at the right stage of nutritional maturity. After that, everything is fed into the TMR system, total mixed ration, where automatic mixers blend the feed evenly so that every bite the cows eat contains the proper nutritional balance. A high-producing cow here eats more than 50 kilograms of feed per day, divided into several meals. Feeding times must be almost perfectly precise. The almost obsessive discipline of the Japanese, seen in every field, is present even in the way they feed cows. And it is also the key that unlocks the top-tier quality of Japanese products. What makes it even more special is that from late spring to early autumn, when the weather is cool and the pastures are at their best, the cows are released onto vast grasslands, almost like a form of mental therapy for these dairy ladies. Many studies in Japan show that cows allowed to graze periodically have more stable milk fat levels and a significantly lower rate of mastitis, a soft secret, yet an extremely important one, behind the distinctive flavor of Hokkaido milk. When it is time for milking, the cows are guided into the milking area by an automatic guiding system. Before milking, the teats must be thoroughly disinfected with a specialized solution to remove dirt and bacteria, reduce the risk of mastitis, and prevent contamination of the first flow of milk. Many large farms use AI-integrated milking robots that can identify each individual cow, clean the teats, attach the milking equipment, and monitor milk quality in real time. Each cow is usually milked 2 to 3 times per day, producing an average of 30 to 40 liters of milk daily, while high-yielding individuals can exceed 50 liters. Immediately after leaving the udder, the milk is cooled down to 4 degrees Celsius within just a few minutes to prevent bacterial growth, then passes through a series of strict inspections before it qualifies to enter the processing line. Compared with the Netherlands, Hokkaido cow's milk is often 1.5 to 2 times more expensive, not to mention premium products such as artisanal cheese, fresh cream, and high-end butter, which are always among the most expensive in Asia, contributing to the nearly $29.6 billion in annual revenue of Japan's dairy industry. That reputation has been built over decades of accumulated technology, near absolute precision, and a philosophy of respecting livestock that few places pursue to the very end. But today, farmer aging, labor shortages, rising feed costs, and post-COVID-19 demand fluctuations are making the standards that once built this dairy kingdom increasingly difficult to maintain. The Wagyu version of pork. That is the name the culinary world has long given to Japanese black pigs, also known as kurobuta. Originating from the Berkshire breed of England and introduced to Japan in the late 19th century, this pig has been selectively bred by the Japanese for more than 100 years to become one of Asia's most premium pork lines, with prices today reaching up to $50 per kilogram, around 5 times more expensive than regular pork. In Kagoshima Prefecture, which accounts for more than 70% of Japan's kurobuta production, around 870,000 pigs are currently raised under strict standards, generating an estimated $420 million in annual revenue for local farmers. To this day, Japanese black pigs still retain the distinctive traits of their Berkshire ancestors, with jet black coats and the famous 6 white points, 6 characteristic white markings on the snout, 4 feet, and tail, giving them a truly unique appearance. But what turns them into a legend lies in the quality of the meat. Fine muscle fibers, evenly distributed intramuscular fat like marble veins, and a higher level of umami-producing amino acids than regular pork, making the meat tender and sweet without feeling greasy. The secret behind this premium pork lies in a slow raising method combined with controlled movement and carefully managed nutrition, passed down by Japanese farmers through generations. While ordinary industrial pigs can be ready for market in just 5 to 6 months, black pigs require nearly twice as long in a comfortable environment, with well-ventilated barns kept at 18 to 23 degrees Celsius and exceptionally clean air. Stocking density is kept below 12 pigs per pen to prevent stress, a silent enemy of meat quality. For at least 60 days before slaughter, the pigs are given more grains and Kagoshima sweet potatoes to enhance the sweetness and glossy texture of the fat. Japanese black pigs are highly active and need light daily movement to keep their muscles firm and their fat evenly distributed. This is also one of the secrets behind the tender, juicy, umami-rich slices of Kurobuta pork. A raw egg can preserve the rich, silky texture of the yolk, its natural sweetness, and the distinctive creamy mouthfeel that a cooked egg does not have. But along with that comes the risk of salmonella, a bacterium that can cause serious food poisoning. That is why, in most countries, health authorities advise against eating raw eggs regularly. But in Japan, things are completely different. Every year, Japanese people consume more than 20 billion eggs, among the highest levels in the world, and it is estimated that nearly half of them are eaten raw in various forms. In fact, tamago kake gohan, rice topped with raw egg, has been a national breakfast dish for millions of Japanese people for generations. So what makes eggs in Japan different from the rest of the world, allowing raw egg consumption to become so normalized? To find the answer, let's begin where this entire industry takes shape, the industrial hatchery. The difference appears from the very first seeds. Eggs used for hatching must come from parent flocks that have been strictly controlled for disease, genetics, and nutrition. They are then further disinfected with UV light or formalin vapor before officially entering the incubator. Modern incubation systems maintain a temperature of around 37.5 degrees, along with extremely stable humidity and oxygen levels, while automatically turning the eggs dozens of times a day so the embryos can develop evenly. After about 21 days, the eggs begin to crack. And if human society once held a preference for sons over daughters in many Eastern cultures, then in the world of the egg industry, the balance is completely reversed. Whether in China, Japan, or any other country, male chicks have almost no value, simply because they cannot lay eggs. All male chicks are culled immediately after birth, and the brief time they see the light inside the hatchery is counted only in seconds. By contrast, all female chicks are health checked, vaccinated, and automatically sorted before being transferred to rearing farms, where they become biological machines, supplying eggs for Japan's food industry. Compared with many other countries, Japan's industrial chicken farming system is not too different in structure. But to produce eggs that can be eaten raw safely, almost every step is pushed to a far more extreme standard. From the quality of drinking water, feed, and air, to bacterial control inside the barns. At first, the chicks are raised together in high-temperature brooding areas. As their down gradually gives way to full feathers, and their immune systems become more stable, they are moved to rearing houses to prepare for the egg-laying stage. About 5 to 6 months after arriving at the farm, the hens begin laying the first eggs of their lives. A hen can lay almost every day, producing around 300 eggs per year. On farms with hundreds of thousands of hens, daily output can reach millions of eggs, enough to supply an entire city. So how are that many eggs collected? Technology takes care of it. Automatic conveyor systems move the eggs away from the nests just minutes after they are laid, minimizing contact with manure, dust, or bacteria inside the barn. Immediately after leaving the farm, the eggs are transported to a processing facility in specialized refrigerated trucks. Here, they go through a series of steps that look more like a semiconductor production line than an ordinary food factory. Washing with warm disinfecting water, drying with clean air, and high-speed LED candling to detect shell cracks, blood spots, or foreign matter inside. Many modern systems also use AI cameras capable of inspecting tens of thousands of eggs per hour. Any eggs that fail to meet the standard are removed immediately. It is this almost obsessive salmonella control process that has helped Japanese eggs become one of the safest types of eggs in the world for raw consumption.
In this state-of-the-art facility.
In international markets, a tray of premium Japanese eggs can cost several times more than ordinary industrial eggs in China or Southeast Asia. But for Japanese consumers, they are not just buying an egg. They are buying enough peace of mind to crack a raw egg directly over a bowl of hot rice. In restaurants across Japan, it is easy to find bowls of tamago kake gohan made with nothing more than hot rice, soy sauce, and a raw egg freshly cracked into the center. Even when eaten raw, Japanese eggs have almost no strong fishy smell. Instead, they are surprisingly rich, sweet, and smooth. However, for those unfamiliar with the slimy texture of raw egg white, the experience can be a real culture shock. Many people may not know this, but Japan consumes more than 70% of the world's freshwater eel supply, more than any other country on Earth. At one point, the Japanese eel, Anguilla japonica, was even listed as endangered due to decades of heavy consumption and overfishing in Japan. Today, Japan has successfully developed commercial eel farming, but there is one fascinating detail. Most eel juveniles still have to be caught from the wild. The reason is that the reproductive life cycle of this fish remains extremely mysterious. Young eels, known as glass eels, are caught when they are only as thin as noodles and nearly transparent like glass. Yet their price can reach 5,000 to 35,000 USD per kilogram, making them as valuable as white gold during years of shortage. Compared to many other fish species, eel farming is far more difficult because eels are extremely sensitive to water conditions. Temperature, dissolved oxygen, pH levels, and ammonia must all be monitored almost in real time. Even a small fluctuation can cause an entire tank to stop feeding, become stressed, or suffer disease outbreaks. Even feeding is treated like a precise nutritional science. The mixture of fish meal, enzymes, and probiotics is not simply blended together, but activated inside rotating tanks to create a soft, microbe-rich feed before being delivered into the ponds. The moment the feed touches the water, the young eels immediately gather into dense groups, nibbling and circling continuously like a perfectly programmed movement. After around 7 to 8 months, once the eels reach about 200 to 300 grams each, the system switches to automated harvesting. The water level is gradually lowered so the eels gather at one point. Then they are guided through smooth pipes directly into the processing area. There, the eels are washed with high-pressure cold water to remove their slippery outer layer, before being rapidly stunned with ice-cold temperatures to preserve the texture of the meat. Next, the eels are filleted in the traditional Kanto style from the back, helping keep the body intact for the skewering process. Inside the grilling section, the eels are cooked at around 230 to 250 degrees Celsius to firm up the surface, then dipped into kabayaki sauce made from soy sauce, mirin, sugar, and dashi. The grilling and sauce dipping cycle is repeated multiple times, creating a glossy brown skin while keeping the meat inside soft and rich, before the final products are packaged under strict hygienic conditions. Whale meat, once a strategic source of protein in the post-war era and a common staple in the lunches of millions of Japanese school children, as familiar as canned Spam is in the United States, has now declined to record lows, with annual production falling below 2,000 tons. That amounts to less than 10 grams per person per year, lighter than a single AA battery. Despite a steadily shrinking market, tens of millions of dollars in annual government subsidies continue to support the Kyoto Senpaku fleet, enabling voyages from spring through late autumn. Beyond commercial goals, this serves to maintain Japan's offshore processing logistics and distant water harvesting capabilities, an important contingency should imported food supplies be disrupted. At sea, the harvesting process is carried out with the precision of a heavy industrial assembly line. The crew, often marine mechanical specialists, operate like skilled technicians. A specialized harpoon is used to secure the target, after which the tail is fastened with high-tensile steel cables, combined with flotation buoys and hydraulic winches to haul the massive body onto the stern slipway. As soon as they are brought on board, the multi-ton carcasses are hoisted by crane directly into the vessel's onboard processing facility. Here, a race against time begins. The entire butchering process must be completed within 6 hours, before heat retained within the thick fat layer alters the muscle structure and degrades the meat's quality from the inside out.
All right, bring it over the marker.
Inside the
Steady,
cutting
steady.
room, workers use the umibocho, a large, wide-bladed knife made of ultra-sharp steel mounted on a wooden handle over 2 meters long. As the skin and fat are gradually separated from the skeletal frame, precise cuts reveal the most valuable portions of meat. The most prized is the tail section, known for its fine marbling,
Ensure the
often
dorsal
valued on
clamps are
par
secured.
with premium Wagyu beef.
Confirmed.
The meat is then transferred immediately into deep freezing chambers at around 60 degrees Celsius, a temperature that minimizes the formation of large ice crystals, preserving muscle fiber integrity and maintaining freshness for up to 2 years in frozen storage. Canned products, meanwhile, can last up to 3 years while still retaining their sensory quality.
Make sure you get under the ridge.
If you're curious about the taste, this red meat is often described as the venison of the ocean, thanks to its firm texture, rich flavor, high protein content, and relatively low fat. Notably, whale meat contains a compound called balanine, still not fully understood, but believed by scientists to contribute to the species' remarkable ability to withstand extreme pressure in the deep sea. Continuing from these massive offshore pursuits, we arrive at another symbol of endurance in Japanese culinary culture: aramaki-sake salted salmon, a premium delicacy that takes up to 5 weeks to transform into the gold of the coastal regions. The production season begins in late autumn, when chum salmon migrate upstream into the rivers of Niigata and Hokkaido, at the point when they reach optimal fat content and size in preparation for spawning. Here, artisans often harvest the fish using traditional handline methods to preserve the integrity of the scales and avoid physical damage to the meat's structure. Immediately after harvest, the fish are washed in cold water and eviscerated, a critical step that removes digestive enzymes and microorganisms that could spoil the flesh from within. This entire process is carried out swiftly to maintain absolute freshness before the fish enters its most crucial stage, dry salting. Skilled craftsmen, often seasoned artisans with an exceptionally refined tactile instinct, coat the entire fish with coarse salt, concentrating on the belly and head to ensure even penetration without over-curing or toughening the flesh. The fish are then stacked in large wooden vats, where heavy stone weights exert continuous pressure, forcing out residual blood and muscle fluids while triggering a cascade of biochemical transformations deep within. After about 5 days of salt curing, the fish enters the stage that defines its distinctive character: air hanging. Once rinsed to remove excess salt and the final layer of surface slime, each fish is tied at the tail and hung upside down. This crucial technique allows excess moisture and fat to drain away, while drawing nutrients from the tail toward the head and belly, intensifying the richness in the most prized sections of the meat. And what about those small bamboo sticks inserted across the abdominal cavity? They act as braces that keep the fish body stretched open, allowing cold, dry sea air to circulate through every crevice, ensuring the drying process occurs evenly from the inside out. After about 4 weeks, the surface of the fish develops a crystallized, protective dry layer, while the interior retains just enough moisture to prevent the flesh from becoming overly dry. At this stage, a simple thin slice and light grilling are enough to reveal a deep umami flavor and a firm texture that fresh fish can never replicate. To experience this level of craftsmanship, you would pay around $150 for a single aramaki sake, 3 to 4 times the price of industrially salted salmon, in exchange for a delicacy that is almost entirely handcrafted, reflecting the meticulous standards of Japanese artisans. Yubari King is a premium melon variety that once fetched a record auction price of 1.2 billion VNDs per pair, born from Yubari's bold decision after the collapse of its coal industry. In harsh winters dropping below -10 degrees Celsius, all melons are cultivated in greenhouses with precise temperature and humidity control. From the very beginning, each plant is individually nurtured and monitored before being transferred to larger beds, where drip irrigation systems maintain optimal growth. From planting to fruit formation takes about 50 days. During this stage, growers gently massage the fruit every day to create micro-stress on the surface. Though it may seem unusual, this technique stimulates the rind to crack in a controlled manner, prompting the plant to release sap that heals and crystallizes into a thick, raised net-like pattern. The density and uniformity of these veins are key criteria used to grade a premium Yubari King melon. Around 60 days after fruit set, the melon enters the harvest stage. Growers check the base for slight softness, then tap it lightly to listen for a deep, muted sound, an indication that the flesh is dense and fully ripened. Only melons with a near-perfect spherical shape, well-defined netting, and high sugar content are selected. They are cut with a long stem intact, then carefully shaped into a T-form, an initial signature that signals meticulous cultivation and premium quality.